when you got your life straightened around and got hired by Warren Keep News and Bill Grauer and those guys, and I think you made 6 records on Riverside?
Yes.
And that was starting in about 1959, right?
Yeah.
1960? How on earth...
59.
59. How did you achieve your arranging skills for those groups? There were a number of like sextets one of the things I like about kind of a larger combo is when an arranger can make it sound like a big band, and you do that on all of those records. Of course, you also had the advantage of having really nice personnel on those records too.
Oh yeah.
Your brothers and
that's the Giants.
Guys like
The Giants.
Win Kelly and Paul Chambers and all those guys. But how did you come to?
Well, that's being with Miles.
To arrange
Miles
that
is
way?
the same age as I am too.
But how did you come to know how to arrange in those ways that you did?
Well, that was a trial and error. I did not have lessons. I had a mentor. His name was John Burks, Dizzy Gillespie, who would show you something every day. You get to the piano. He told me, he came to Philadelphia and his band, and I went to hear Dizzy Gillespie's band, and me and Train and all of us, after hearing Billy Eckstine's band, which Dizzy was with, and Charlie Parker was with, and Dexter Gordon was with, and Gene Ammons, and Miles Davis was with. Okay, and so that band is the beginning of the bebop big band. And then when Dizzy got his band, and I got in that band, Dizzy was my mentor. So he was always showing me things. So, and then when I got with Dizzy, sometimes at the end of some of his tours, he would break it into small groups. So I'm hearing small groups all the time. And he showed me, he says, look, my mother invited the whole band at my house in Philadelphia. And Dizzy, we had an old piano. You know, everybody had a piano then, not a guitar. That's another world. But Dizzy said, man, how are you going to write music if you don't know the keyboard? And till today, I'm spending a lot of times on the keyboard. And that's where all the music is. That's where all the symphonies are. That's the big bands that I love. I'm still writing big band music and small groups. So then I listened. You know, Duke Ellington, when you Mood Indigo had a sextet, clarinet, trumpet, and trombone. You could always take from a big band a quartet, a tentet, a septet, octet, whatever, and make it into another sound, a different group. So that's I learned most of that from being in groups. So now, when I come back from Dizzy's band, I'm playing in a quartet, because it's just the tenor. So I got to think about arranging for that instrumentation. So when I get with Riverside, I did some sextets with trombone, trumpet, and tenor. And it's about pairing instruments. And I think Duke was a master of pairing instruments. And then when I got with Columbia Records, and I said, well, wait a minute now. The guitar and the soprano saxophone sounds good together. You know, and we did that on several records. So we got nominated for Grammy and stuff like that. But I'm always thinking about, you know, trying to get the biggest sound I can out of a small group. For economic reasons or whatever, they stop hiring big bands to travel. Only the Lincoln Center Jazz Orchestra travels, or the Ghost bands, Glenn Miller Band, or you know, something like that. So that's cool. I like that idea. But I got a big band now, and we play about 3-4 times a year. But I'm still writing. So I got to the computer, and I'm writing with the finale program. I studied from a man, I was just talking to a brother back there named Pine, who called me the other day. He's a Schillinger system advocate. I studied the Schilling, and I had been writing music for my recording sessions with tentets and septets and all of that stuff. And I said, well, wait a minute. I want to write larger works. I want to write extended music. So then I went to study with Rudolf Schramm in New York City, who was an advocate of the Schillinger system of writing. And I studied with him for 2 years, and during that time, I wrote a piece called The Afro-American Suite of Evolution for about 35 people, with the strings, with the rhythm, with the African percussion, with the big band all incorporated in there. And I tried to trace the music from the African drum all the way to the avant-garde music, through the big band era and all that. But I had to study to do that, because I had never written for strings. So since that time, you know, for the Kronos String Quartet or something, they wanted a piece for their encore. They're playing all Western classical music, but for their encore they wanted something. So they asked me to write an arrangement on, I think it was Naima.
John Coltrane piece.
Yeah, I think it's one of the most beautiful compositions ever written. You know, there's so much beautiful music. I listen to Frederick Delius, I listen to Ravel, I listen to Bach, Beethoven, I listen to everything. I listen to country music, you know, and I get ideas from that music. Because we're all humans. And if you got to get a Geiger counter to understand the music, I don't need that music. Human beings. So the thing is, what I want to do is use my knowledge that I've gained over a long period of time. I didn't go to college and learn it all in 4 years, but I've been working on it a long time. I want to write music that I appreciate, and I hope that the audience can appreciate it, because it's very difficult. The audience doesn't, the people in the audience, they don't study music all day, every day like we do, and sleep and eat music. So how do you expect them to understand everything that we do? So you have to compromise in this world, you know? So when we were with CBS Records, Columbia, I got my son. I have a son.
Mtume.
Mtume. Now Mtume he's 65. He's born when I was 20. This guy has made more money in music than I've been all my life trying to do, my son, because he knew what people liked. And he wrote for, you know, Stephanie Mills and Roberta Flack and singers. And he wrote, #2 hit in the world was The Closer I Get to You, under the Bee Gees. They had Staying Alive, #1. And Mtume had The Closer I Get to You, the way you make me feel, over and over again. And that is he's still collecting royalties.
Jimmy loves to sing.
No, I wish I could. I wouldn't be playing no saxophone. I would be making money. But you know, that's just a matter of, you know, I make a living in music, and I made a living. I've taught at Queens College, and I'm retired from teaching and all that. But you know, it's a matter of what do you need? You need, me and my friend Bill Cosby talk all the time. So you got, his wife Camille said, he's got one of each. of the cars. You got a Rolls, you got a Ferrari, you got a BMW, you got this. You can't ride it but one at a time. You got 5 houses. You can't live in but one at a time. So, I mean, what do you need in life? You know, people who got all the money would give some to somebody else. But they're going to keep it all for themselves. You know, you don't need that much. If you have 2 homes, that's enough, ain't it? A summer home and a winter home.
So do you have time to run for president?
No, I don't. I couldn't stand that pressure. That's pressure.